If you've ever thrown away a handbag because the zipper broke, or got
Honey,
rid of a pair
do
of
you
your
need a
favorite jeans
zipper?
because it did the
Do
same
you have any
thing,
broken
we have the
zippers?
perfect solution,
Oh,
the
we have
Instant Zipper.
500.
And
What?
joining us today,
Oh,
chairman
hold
of
on.
SCOntv.com,
It's Kevin
Kevin Harrington.
Harrington.
Hi, Kevin.
Hey, John, good to
The
see
guy
you.
from
Yeah,
Shark
you've been
Tank.
everywhere.
Hey, you know what? As chairman of SCOntv.com,
Oh
I
my
look for
God. Oh my
problem
God, honey. We
solvers,
gotta get one
and
of
this
these. We
is a
gotta
product
get
that is
one.
Welcome to the Wendy Cooper Show. This is where I have conversations that you get to listen to, kind of, with remarkable people over 50. Today, my guest is John Cremeans. You can find him at John Cremeans, CREMEANS.com. He is known as the Doctor of Shopology. John has worked at HSN. He no longer works there. 11 years ago, he left HSN, but he was there for 26 years as one of the top-selling hosts. He has sold everything and anything under the sun. I had the pleasure of working with him several times on live television, and I've had the pleasure of now bringing him to you. Our discussion is wide and varied and kind of shows the dark side of things. It includes if you're an inventor and you want to go to live shopping, what it takes, the inside scoop. It's kind of very interesting. So if you're kind of a live shopping or as seen on TV nerd, keep listening. First, I have to set this up a little bit for you. So we're going to dive right into where John, by the way, I recorded this back in April, and we were both in COVID lockdown, obviously, but it is now July 20th, and I'm now editing the show and getting it out to you guys. So keep that in mind. I don't really think it has anything to do with anything. But anyway, we had a 2-hour conversation, John and I did. And John is very much right now into helping the inventor. So he goes on webinars and he gives his advice. That comes from his 26 years of working with problem-solving consumer products on HSN. And then it also comes from his heart because he realized the dark side of what was really going on that he was blind to the entire time he was at HSN when he left and he started to see the dark side of direct response as seen on TV companies who also use live shopping a lot for their products that they find from inventors. Anyway, here we go. I don't know how to better explain the dark side.
Here I am, I'm selling stuff, right? I'm literally giving a sheet, tell me what to sell, the products that I have, but with no knowledge how that product came into existence. So when I left HSN, my last show was the day before Billy died, before Billy Mays died. And he was actually the one that consoled me, and he said, look, you'll do great out here, because they were going to give me another 2-year deal. And I was getting a little older. I was getting closer to 50. And I thought, I really want to do something for myself. So when I got out there, and that's when I really saw what was going on behind the scenes, right? I mean, inventors were, squash. They were taken advantage of. These people, they love their idea and their product so much that they'll do anything to be successful. And there are a lot of people that prey on that, unfortunately.
Because it was, in doing my research, I went on John's website and I clicked on one of his shows that he was a spokesperson in, and it was with TV Goods, and it was with Deneen Dashevsky, and a beautiful Hawaiian gal that had created this inventor's toolbox. Well, what John didn't know was that I would say it was 1999, it was because of Deneen that I created everything I did with the inventors, because I walked into a room at a conference where she was pitching her product, which it was called the No-Fly Zone. I remember it like it was yesterday. She was this gorgeous Hawaiian girl with very large breasts, and she won. But her product was so ridiculous that there was no way she should have ever won this first place, whatever they were doing. They were calling it the inventors something or other. So I not only contacted ERA after that and said, this is absurd, and here's all the reasons why it's absurd what you're doing, which I won't go into, but I contacted Deneen, and I flew to Hawaii, and I stayed in her house with her for a week, and I taught her pretty much everything that she then went on to teach in her inventor's toolkit years later. I was like blown away. And here's
proof. Do you
proof.
have a great
Listen
idea for
this.
a product or service but don't know where to get started? Well, in the next half hour, we're going to be introducing you to a revolutionary program that has already helped thousands of entrepreneurs and inventors live their dreams. And now you can too, with the Inventor's Starter Toolkit. The Inventor Starter Toolkit is a step-by-step program developed by entrepreneur, inventor, and businesswoman Daneen Deshevsky. Like you, Daneen had a great idea.
And I remember
for a product,
Deneen
but
calling
didn't know
me
where
and
to get
asking me
started.
about
But she
working with
figured out how
TV
to do
Goods,
it
which
on
was
her
Kevin
own,
Harrington's
with very
company.
little expense.
Kevin
Now
Harrington
she's here to
claims
teach you.
he is the original shark, but he was only on for one season. So that's a different story. But at the end of the day, look what happened. I went and I taught and I gave and I tried to help Deneen. And then I would say it was quite a few years later that she took all of that, created her own brand story from that, and, and created the Inventor's Toolkit. Even from John Cremeans, who was #1 host at HSN, truly very, very good at what he did. For 26 years, he sold more product for HSN than you can imagine. But at the end of the day, you can't sell a crappy product to anybody. So there's so much to know about being an entrepreneur, being an inventor, and launching a product. And typically, back in the day, getting a gig on HSN or QVC or a shopping network was one way of doing that. But there was so much more to it. There is so much more to it. And John goes on to explain how he really was very conscious of what it took on the product person's end and how sensitive they were, because HSN or QVC, I'm telling you, they don't care. You don't pull the numbers and you're like out of there. Seriously, out of there. And that could be your life savings and what you thought was going to be the opportunity that was going to make you fly to the moon.
I mean, some of them work themselves so far up to go, to present a product and they're the guest. And I always try, I always felt like I tried to do my best to make them more comfortable, because I would have all my information. I would have already gotten most of my show already done 2 hours before they even walked in the building. And if back in that, toward the end, there was more, the green room area. And I literally, for an hour before I went on air, I'd get coffee. I'd go in and talk to people. I would make them, I wanted them to be as natural as possible. So I wanted them that when they were on air with me, they would say, well, that's my buddy John. We just spent the last hour laughing about our kids and talking about, other stuff outside of the product, because I already knew it. I already got that information from them. Yeah, I wanted them to be like, it's just John and whoever talking, right? That experience doing it for like a television shopping channel and trying to make my guests feel comfortable, it's kind of the same way when you're talking to inventors or young entrepreneurs, people that don't know what their how to pitch their idea. I mean, they created it, right? They looked at all they created the solution to a problem, but they really never thought that at the end of it all, they're really going to have to pitch it in some form or another. They're just all excited because they get to build it, they get to manufacture, they get a chance to put it together and do all the pieces. But it's that last little part, which what always kills me is that I'll ask them, okay, so what was the problem? And they can explain the problem and it's perfect. I'm thinking, oh my God, okay, there's part of your pitch right there. You just made me envision the problem that you saw that you wanted to fix. So now go past that, right? But for some reason, right after that part, they start to fumble and they start to spin out of control a little bit. Yeah.
If you create a product, if you think of a product, regardless of who you are, it doesn't make any difference. You never really you're solving a problem. Let's just say this is a consumer good that solves a problem that is affordable. Okay, it has the cachet of I have to have it, I really want it, I got to have it now. Okay, that's where the whole free shipping stupid thing came in, and that's the reason that Amazon has the free shipping. It's the instant gratification of direct-to-consumer response in buying a product. Well, live shopping is all about that, right? And the demonstration. So, but live shopping is quantified differently than if you have a commercial in as seen on TV television. So that is quantified differently by an MER, media efficiency ratio, how many dollars you make for every dollar you spend in advertising. And HSN, QVC, and shopping networks, they quantify or they judge everything based on your dollars per minute. And it's basically the same thing. How many dollars did your product make their network per minute? And then they have a benchmark that they want you to hit for the hour. Okay? Now, most inventors, most entrepreneurs, most small businesses do not understand that. And they jump into a live shopping network thinking that this is an easy way for them to launch their product without spending a bunch of money on marketing or advertising. And that is such a big mistake to make. But anyway.
The shopping channels excel when they could demonstrate product, right? Because it's stuff that people would normally see in a store, but yet they got to see it demonstrated. It helped to increase the need or the want or why I wanted to buy it. And you look at like the two networks, if you put them side by side, and I can only say this because I've literally lived it as a host for all those years, is that QVC had a set model that that Siegel literally, instilled in it, and it kept the same. They kept doing the same thing. They didn't change. HSN was a different thing. I think I had 17 bosses, 11 different leaders of the company in my time there in 26 years. And every time it changed drastically. This way, that way. We're going over here, going over there, coming back this way. We're going to do that again. We're going to come back and they could never keep up with the company that kept doing their successful stuff.
Here's a little tidbit of stuff. Did you know that HSN actually was number one at one point? QVC wasn't always number one. We know QVC as being number uno, but no, HSN at one time was. Listen to this recounting.
HSN was the number one. QVC was actually third. CVN, the cable value network out of Minneapolis, which was Ted Deichel and Erwin Jacobs, they were two. So when we got bought by QVC did $227 million. We were closer to $1 billion than HSN was that year. We literally were like $870-some million when QVC bought us. So they gobbled up the bigger company, almost went bankrupt because of it. I mean, the stock went down to like $2, which I bought a lot of and then made money when it went up. Because I had a belief in what they were doing and what CVN was doing at that time too. But HSN was always that up and down and all around. And
it was a nightmare. And, you worked really hard to build your relationship with buyers. Anybody that has a product, they know that getting into a store, anything like that, where there's a buyer in between. Buyers are always changing. Even if you're selling now as a third-party seller, as a brand seller, as a vendor with Walmart, even Amazon, whatever, there's always, well, not so much with Amazon. That's not true with Amazon. But with Walmart, you still have a buyer you have to talk to. And there's Target. I knew the buyers at Target. I would go to Minneapolis. I knew them. I was entrenched in this world, right? So when a buyer that you built a relationship with that understood, the products you were bringing into HSN, and he understood the audience and he understood your capability of being able to work with the live talent to sell the product and bring in the numbers, you had a good thing going. And there was George Francelli. He was one of them. I love George. He did tabletop and he did betting. And that was awesome. And then one day, George, poof, was gone. There was another buyer. He was actually kind of VP guy, Ken LeCicero. I'm not sure if Ken is still in Germany, but he went to do live shopping in Germany, and he's been there, HSC, I believe it's called. And he's been there for quite some time now. But Ken was another one. If you had a great relationship with Ken, you could get anything tested. And you became, as I became, a valuable product rep. And thus, I got to know John and all of the other on-air HSN hosts very well because we were always repping and selling different products. You know, dishing it up in the green room. That's where I first met Billy Mays, right? And Billy became a dear friend. He's part of the tribe. He's resting in peace, but he's part of the tribe. So it's a really fascinating, I think it's going to be a good book if I ever write it. But here's a little bit of history that, I don't know, maybe some of you live shopping nerds want to know.
I mean, a lot of the hosts years ago, and not as much today, but, we all had set goals, and we had to make them. We had to make certain dollar per minute. So we needed to make a certain amount of money, and then we got paid an incentive beyond that. So you were always trying to get the best, do the best, and jamming it. But then they got away from that, which I still think was a good thing because that allowed them to maybe plan a little bit more than what they were doing. I mean, because then everybody was like trying to get the incentives, and it was on a daily or an hourly basis. So they wanted to, so they made all these changes, and that's why it became drastic. And I really honestly believe that was the time that they just, QVC went right on past, kept on doing their thing, which was, remarkable. They're an amazing company, right? So they just kept doing the same thing, and they've got where they were now by not altering everything by the minute or the day or the hour. Yeah, I mean, and most people forget that. I mean, there are people that remember that. You don't have people that have been in the business long enough to know that that's what caused where they are. And if they hadn't done that, they'd be so much farther ahead. They would have kept the lead, but they just didn't do it.
I think there was a lot of reasons why it didn't work out. I worked for many years really closely in all different kinds of categories with everyone from the president of HSN all the way down to, the person that fixes the food in the green room. And there was a lot of inherent, problems, a lot of communication mishaps. But at the buying level, I think that's pretty much where it kind of fell apart. But honestly, when you have leadership changing as often as it changed there with all these different ideas, most of my stint there was really when Barry Diller was the one running the top of the ship. And then there was another guy, Jeff Tracci, and then, and then Mindy, she came along and things really changed. And she was going to make HSN into like this glamorous place where they only did high-end brands. When at the end of the day, when it's built on America, it should stay built on America. And you don't go looking for Dooney Bork to sell, and do a dollars per minute deal with. I mean, it was just everything about HSN and live shopping. That model is so bizarre. It's so bizarre, and it is so difficult to manage. I mean, seriously. But it can be a lot of fun if you're playing in Celebrity World and thinking that they are a pitch person. That is a different story altogether, and that's one that's kind of fun to watch shipwreck.
And Universal. And so we had Sci-Fi Channel. So we did a broadcast with Sci-Fi Channel, HSN, and USA Networks. 30th anniversary Star Trek, big thing, right? It's going to be exciting. They got Shatner. I worked with James Dugan. I loved him to death. Shatner was on a phone. He was calling in. He had no idea what product we were selling or anything. Basically, he was just there. And he's like, he goes, John, look. He goes, here I am. I'm at a dog there. He was at the dog track. He goes, I'm at a dog track, and I'm on this phone. And it looks like one of those communicators we had back years ago. And he goes, and right now, John, it's beeping. I'm not really sure why it's beeping, but it's beeping. You love for them to sell, and you love for them to be a part of it all. I mean, James Dugan, Scotty, the original Scotty, was hilarious. Awesome dude. I mean, he played the part. He had fun with me. I love that.
Yeah, celebrities can be really great and they can be super cool on air, but when you're on live television, it's not being taped, it's a totally different story. So you have to be really careful of who you pick to go on air. I mean, Mariah Carey has been on HSN and I swear she didn't know where to look, what to do, what to say. It was a disaster. I think you'll probably find it on YouTube. But here's a perfect example of a really great pitch person who does not know how to shut up and doesn't even let John get a word in as I can't even get a word in edgewise.
Hi, I'm John Cremeans with another amazing deal on HSNOnTV.com. And joining us today, Forbes Riley. Forbes, thanks for being here.
Well, I'm so excited to introduce you guys to the Spin Gym. You know what's great about this, John, is that you can get an amazing upper body workout. But because the way Spin Gym is designed, it works your arms, chest, core, and back. Now, how's that possible? Well, I brought Lisa here to show you. Lisa, start out in front. And John, I want to show you something. Do you see her muscles pop in her chest?
Oh my gosh.
In her delts. Oh yeah, I know.
Look at that.
And that's what's so amazing about Spin Gym is it works all of your muscles. Now point your fingers, look at this. Ladies, if you've got raw fat along here, you want to Spin Gym. How about your back? John, now you can wear halter tops and sleeveless and really look sexy. All the wardrobe pieces in the back of your closet that you're afraid to wear. How about your arms?
John, what about all those pieces in the back of your closet you're afraid to wear? I can't believe this.
To go sleeveless. This makes all
It makes all the difference in the world.
You could be in the gym for hours, or you could take Spin Gym, which weighs less than a pound.
Less than a pound.
Pulls
Don't
up
go to the
20
gym,
pounds.
just use a Spin Gym.
You keep going. What I want to show you,
It's
John,
a really
fast.
good
This
weapon,
is a 10
actually.
pound.
And what's
Yeah,
really
right,
funny
right,
about
right.
this pitch
Right, here.
with Forbes is I sat with her and told her, stop pitching that the Spin Gym works your entire body. Focus on the arms. Women want to have a beautiful arms and a beautiful back. And you know what she did? She focused on that and she sold millions. On HSN, by the way. The dark side comes in when the inventor or the entrepreneur, both the same thing, have a really great problem-solving product, and the direct response companies that are out there, or they're still there, but it's a little bit of a different world now, swoop in and either copy them or screw them. And at the end of the day, if that inventor / entrepreneur wants to do it themselves, well, good luck with that. That's a big dark world out there. It takes lots of money, lots of know-how, and you're going to go down a very dark rabbit hole before you're ever going to be able to see the light of day, and if you do. So here's John talking a little bit about the dark side.
Or let's say you're the inventor that finds out that some like major shopping channels are airing a product that is your copyright or your patent rather, and you have no idea that they're selling it. Okay, have you ever seen the reversible umbrella on TV? That's the umbrella that literally, instead of closing down this way and getting you wet, it closes this way away from you. One of the major DR players, starts with an E, ends with an N, to the shopping channels. Shopping channels had it under different names. They competed against each other under different names of the same products. Maybe a different color or whatever. There was a bunch of different colors and everything. And now it's just everywhere, and it's so lost. The inventor had no idea that his patent was being out there sold. They were using his patent. They found it, and China literally was knocking off this umbrella.
Okay, so let me recap this for you. Inventor has a patent. Obviously, it's a utility patent. John's going to explain why they knew it was patent infringement. A DR company sees that product somewhere, somehow. Maybe the guy was pitching it around. Who knows? But the DR company starts with an E, ends with an N, goes to China and sources it in China and has it made, then goes to the shopping networks, brings it to both shopping networks, probably under two different names. Yeah, sounds sounds about right, which you're not supposed to do, but they proceed to sell millions of them. And I guess the guy with the patent never knew a thing until I maybe met John.
All the stuff that fits the ones that they were selling originally at both places and all the shopping channels, same thing. Same, the drawings, I mean, everything was the same. The inventor, and I only know this because I now know the inventor, he's a little young guy out of Ohio. Brilliant kid. They had no idea his patent was being taken like this. He had put this little J hook and a tiny little J hook on one of the nibs on the inside of the umbrella, right? And it had this little J hook. He wasn't sure what he wanted to do with it yet. Whether it was going to be maybe to put the wire for your headphones, to keep it, so you could still use the umbrella and talk and everything, right? So they're not on there. The actual knockoffs had that on there. So that's how you knew that they were knockoffs.
Okay, so inventors are vulnerable, right? And we get that. And they need to be taught how to pitch a product, or they need to have a product rep do that. They need to understand what a deal looks like. All of that stuff was not really readily available. So in 1999, I created the product showcase, and we started to teach inventors the basics of direct response. How do you make a deal? And then we would put them through a qualifying process of these products actually qualify, unlike Denine's from in the top of the show where I talked about the beautiful Hawaiian girl. No, her product did not qualify as a DR product. It just did not. But yet she won first place. So that would have been a waste of everybody's time and money just because they thought she was hot. I digress again, but there was a little formula that we would work around. And as long as your product was qualified and fit into that formula, you made it into the product showcase, which was a private area on the trade show floor of the Electronic Retailing Association's yearly gigantic event in Las Vegas, now defunct. But that, I believe, launched all of these inventor panels all around the country, and the Shark Tank also. So that was my brainy idea. And that was a lot of hard work that I did to keep inventors safe and build integrity in our direct response as seen on TV industry. And I'm not bragging, it's just fact. And then, remarkably, all of a sudden, like it disappeared into thin air, these pioneers of the direct response industry, drove an association of its kind into the ground, and it just disappeared. It was crazy. It was like the only place to go for direct response. And then, right when direct response marketing was becoming ubiquitous, it disappeared. Think about having to deal with those people for so many years. What kind of mentality? Where were those heads of theirs?
It was sad. I remember watching, going, you guys have not embraced it. You've not thought about it. You've not done anything else but stayed the same thing. And that's unfortunate. And that gets back to, as times change, you have to change with it. So there are smarter people. And if that means you have to go to younger people for the smarter brains in the digital world, and hell, do it, because they're going to help you in the long run. And if you can change your mindset to, well, I'm always going to do it this way because this is the way I always made money. If all of a sudden you decide that, no, it's a new world, and it is. It's dramatic. I one time thought that we were seeing the last of the shopping channels, that within 5 years they'll be gone. They'll be replaced. But they're not going to be replaced. But they're not going to be replaced by Amazon. Even though the shoppers will go there, but Amazon, every time they try to put on a shopping product, like a shopping show, it fails, and it fails miserably.
I do have to agree. I think I got one of those Amazon live shopping shows once, and it was like, what are they doing? It was seriously not talking about the product, not demoing the product. Number one rule, demo, 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 demo. Talk, 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 but demo at the same time, And they were just kind of like cool millennials talking about themselves. It was really stupid. But, Amazon doesn't care. They're just having fun.
All they did for the entire production was talk about themselves. There was no mentoring of salesmanship or try to make the product a star instead of themselves. It was just so bad, and they did it twice. The two times I've seen it was just awful.
It obviously would never work on Amazon because Amazon would never want to get too sold out. They would just want to be drop shipping the crap out of that thing until forever. So the whole basis of HSN, QVC, Live Shopping, eVine, whatever, CVN, Shop NBC, whatever, is always a sellout. The sellout is so important. And sometimes when you do sell out, you automatically become the queen or king for the day or for the next 24 hours. And if you continue to have that momentum, it's amazing. People are celebrating, you're feeling good, it's a guaranteed return back, and it's some more air dates, and it's just an awesome feeling. It might sound weird, I know, but John knows what I'm talking about. But if you don't sell out, and you don't meet your numbers, then I can guarantee you'll get a phone call before you even get to your car in the parking lot after your airing.
They have no idea what the back end of how that host feels, how the guest feels. They see it sell out. They don't really know that in the background you're doing champagne, you're having a great time. It's like, oh my God, then you go on the next day and it doesn't do as well. Then you're not the king anymore. You're just John again. Yeah. Oh my God.
Yep, that feeling kind of sucks. It feels so good, and then it can feel so bad. One day it's so great, and the next day you're going, what the heck happened, right? And then you're blaming it on all sorts of things. You're saying, well, the weather in LA was bad, or there was a car wreck on this freeway, and people couldn't get home and watch it on television, or there was a baseball game, and so my husband was, so many excuses go on in that green room as to why you don't pull your numbers, which you actually are seeing on a computer screen. And then, you're also in the green room with the people who are going on air after you and the people who are going on air before you. And maybe the person that went before you did really good. And now you're looking at their numbers compared to your numbers. It's a mind F-U-C-K. It is. And to understand the belly and the guts of live shopping and also of real as seen on TV television, it's pretty remarkable. It's pretty remarkable. Now, John got into that world later on after he left HSN. I was already in it when I met John. So he's been gone for 11 years. I had already been in that muck for the past, since 1993. 1993, I first started going to Canada, and I was on home shopping in Canada, and where it was videotaped, but it was on a delay. It was crazy. Anyway, here's just a toss to the end of the show. Here we go.
On the point of being good, and I can't go to bed, feeling good about myself, I walk away. That's why I walked away from my last business partner. I mean, I literally picked up crap and left. We're talking older, but the people that are like us that continually change and always look at it as more of an event horizon where I'm going to go and I'm going to succeed. I'm going to go past that hill and go to the next one. They're succeeding in this. I mean, if I didn't read as much as I do, or I research as much as I do, I mean, I spend a couple days and hours a day researching new stuff because you get stale. You'll get stale.
Well, that about wraps up that editing. That was a 2-hour conversation that I got down to 34 minutes and some new narration by me. What a job. Took me all day. Anyway, I hope it was worth it. I am your host, Wendy Cooper. You have been listening to The Wendy Cooper Show, conversations with remarkable people over 50. I thank you for listening, and if you would like to learn more about me or what I do for a living now, you can check me out at wendycooper.com. Until next time, thanks for listening, and please make sure to leave a review. You can find me wherever you download your podcast. Thanks to John Cremeans. You can find John Cremeans at johncremeans.com. He is the doctor of shopology. And Tom Orsi for his wonderful theme music. I will see you all next time. Thanks for listening.